Welcome to Overwhelmed to Overcomer podcast with coach, encourager, and strategist Anna McLaughlin. If you're a Christian woman who has big dreams rooted in an even bigger God, but most days those dreams feel completely out of reach, trust me, I get it. As a homeschooling mama of 4, entrepreneur, investor, and all around wearer of many hats, I am right there with you. And yet, the Lord invites us to live out our God given purpose now in the midst of the madness. So, let's explore together how we can know our calling and walk in it today with clarity, with courage, with each other. It's time for you to live the life you love and love the life you live. Let's do this thing. One year in. Friend, we've been doing this for 1 year. You've been with me for 1 year, maybe less. Maybe you joined just more recently. Maybe you're just tuning in this time. Overwhelmed to Overcomer, which started as She Considers a Field podcast for homeschooling entrepreneurs who are Christians and moms and all the things. That was like the biggest mouthful of a description ever. Became Overwhelmed to Overcomer in the fall. But given that it's the same heart behind the whole thing, we're calling it. It's the 1 year anniversary. And I was reflecting and just thinking, what do I want to say? We have these really rich, really just diverse interviews that we've been doing for the past, I don't know, 6 months or so. And then I'm trying to just keep it really simple in these one-on-one conversations between you and I, really focusing on the underlying mission behind Overwhelmed to Overcomer, to encourage you to sit at the Father's feet, to encourage you to know and own your purpose, to encourage you to be brave with your one life, to live out that parable of the talents of being faithful in little and set over more. So, no surprise, we're going to talk about that. Maybe we're always going to talk about that because I'm going to tell you what, every day is a new season, a new moment, and a new opportunity to say, I don't know, maybe I'll sit this one out today. I'll make sure it gets taken care of tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. And then we're still waiting. So, I'm going to encourage you in honor of my podcast's birthday, blame it on me if you want to take a moment and take stock and go, what is it that I am not doing that I'm always just about to do? Because here's one of the things that I've noticed among the people of God. We can kind of just set the table and then we reset it and we reset it and we assess and we analyze and we just don't get out of that boat and we don't get out on the waves. When we haven't gotten out of the boat, the waves start to seem a lot bigger and we start to wonder if we really can. There's this concept called cognitive dissonance that says we cannot hold a belief that is in conflict with our actions. One of the two has to change. If we believe, oh, I'm going to call myself out and it's going to hurt so bad. If we believe that we need to steward our health and we're not exercising, like it hurts to just say it, and we're not exercising, then we need to either change our definition of what we value and believe, or we got to get off the couch. I'm physically in pain as I'm talking to you about this because I'm not, if you hadn't noticed from the way I was talking, because I'm not exercising right now. So, guess what happened? Around the fall, oh no. So, for me, I want to live the winter in a wubby. I want like the big onesie for adults that I can't remember what they call them. There's a snuggie, I think is what it's actually called. Um, I just wanna sit on the couch and be warm. That's all I want all winter long, and then when it starts to warm up, then I'm like, "I'm gonna do things," and, I start, like, exercising, I get more active, but when it's cold, I am not my happiest self, and so I had a sneaky little thought that I started indulging in the fall and winter time. Oh, maybe this is just honoring the rhythms of my body. Maybe this is just me taking care of myself, just staying and sitting on the couch and, like, drinking cozy drinks and eating cozy foods. Maybe this is just me taking care of myself. Maybe I'll be really crazy fit in the summertime, and then when it gets cold, I'll just kind of, like, hibernate, right? Like, bears do that, that's a good idea. Do you see what happened? Oh, how like the garden. The snake says, "Did God really say? Did God really say that to you? Whatever. Whatever. I don't think he really said that to you." And you know what happened next? Eve got it wrong. The Lord had said, "Do not eat of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, or you will die." What did she say? Oh, I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit because I don't have it out in front of me, but basically she said, "We are not to eat of it or touch it." He's like, "You're not gonna die." Did he really say that? We make these little compromises. So I said it out loud. I talked to my coach, and I was like, and I told him, I was like, "Maybe I just like to be warm in the wintertime." And he said, "You know what? We spend the first 40 years of our lives putting on the muscle and the rest of our lives trying to hold on to what we've got so we don't lose it. Let's make it easy for you to take care of yourself." He didn't let me indulge in my excuses. Oh, it bummed me out so much. And now I'm bringing it to you guys. Cognitive dissonance. If we are not acting in accordance with our values, we start to compromise. So if one of our values is honoring the voice of the Father, being brave with our lives, and we feel like He's calling us into something and we're not doing it, guess what we're going to start saying? Did God really say? Maybe I misheard. I don't know. It's so full right now. The season's so full. I'm just not sure I can do one more thing. You know what I really need, and I'm going to be real careful. I'm going to clarify this. Beware lest we blame our children for not stepping out of boats that we know the Lord has called us into. Okay? Only if you know He has called you into it. Okay? Hierarchy of covenants. First husband, then children, then beyond. And if the Lord has invited you to do a thing, your children will be okay if you're not home 24/7. Because your first, first covenant is to the Lord your God. That is your first responsibility. Okay? So we gotta watch because we can get that sneaky little voice, "Well, I need to be a mom first." And you know what? That's on the list, but it's under what has he directed you to do? And one of the things my husband would often remind me of, because for me, I had left corporate law to be home with my children. I really didn't even feel like I should go to the grocery store without them. I felt like I was out of my integrity because my first ministry was to my children. And I'm just gonna say right now, that's actually not what the scriptures say. They are a very high order covenant. Okay? So, hierarchy of covenants, if you need that episode, go back and listen to it where we really talk about this. First God, then husband, then children. Our children are not our first ministry. Okay? They do need sowed into at a very high level. But if the Lord has called you to do a thing, He will equip you and He will tend to your children. What your children most need to see is a mother that is honoring the Lord's call on her life. Okay? And so, to get back to my story, I get out of law. We leave in like this very kind of just jumping out of the airplane process. Everything they tell you not to do. That's what we did, but we really felt like the Lord was calling us. You know, they say, like, first replace your income, and that way you can leave with ease. And there was just no piecing together a six-figure income using part-time work and investments and all of that. We really felt the Lord was calling us out, so I left. I didn't even feel like I should go to the grocery store by myself without my children. So I'm in there. I looked like a circus because I was, like, postpartum crazy, like, lots of hormonal challenges as we were having our kids, trying to navigate very wide open, very creative and adventuresome and curious little ones. Just, you know, completely unraveling all through the Aldi grocery store. And my husband would remind me as I would kind of, like, resist earning a part-time income, resist really kind of, like, being selective about what we spent money on because, "Oh, the kids need therapy, and the kids need new shoes, and the kids need this, and the kids need that," and he was like, "Listen, it sure would be nice if we could all just sit around and invest in the emotional needs of everybody in the house and not have to pay for anything, but that's not really how the world works. The kids need us to take care of them in many different ways. Yes, emotionally, but financially too." So, cognitive dissonance, taking it back. Cognitive dissonance. If you get that nudge and you keep pushing it down and you keep deferring it and you keep kicking it down the road, 'cause surely he can't mean right now because we've got all this other stuff going on and the kids have been sick and gosh, like our marriage needs some tending and all of that. Surely it can't be right now. What if it is? What if he says go anyway? The deck will never be clear. There will never be a perfect time. There will never come a time where we're not navigating sick kids, or financial challenges, marital discord, and you know what the enemy does? He oh, am I gonna go here? I'm gonna go here. You know where he's gonna attack? The very place you were called to minister. The very place you were called to minister. He is gonna make you feel like an imposter and a hypocrite. Oh, he loves doing this. He loves doing this. We have another episode that you can go back and listen to called When the Teacher Becomes the Student. This is the threshing that we have to go through. So when you feel that, "Who do you think you are?" That's actually a pretty good indicator that you're on the path to your appointment, okay? That you're exactly where you're supposed to be. But I'm gonna tell you this, and this is something my econ professor gave me this one, and oh my goodness, it has served me for years. So I was an econ major in college, had a really eccentric, very like, he didn't just teach it, he lived it. This was the man this is the yeah, that's that quirky professor. I'll see if I can even talk, I just keep stuttering. Okay, so he would show up at a hotel on a road trip at, like, 1 or 2 in the morning, and they'd tell him the rate, and he'd say, "Listen, nobody else is taking that room." Yeah, say the rate was 150. "Nobody else is taking that room. I'll stay for 75, and if you don't wanna rent it to me, that's no problem, I'll just keep driving." Well, there's, like, 6 hotels in the same, highway exit, so he gets the room for $75. Why? Supply and demand. Super high supply. He's the only one at the door at 1 o'clock in the morning, so they're gonna give it to him, right? Better $75 than 0. He had a pastry store that he loved going to in the mornings. Every morning, they were out of chocolate eclairs. Every morning. And he was so frustrated, and he's like, "Don't you know it's a sign you need to raise your prices? Because if you increase your prices, then the demand's gonna decrease, and you're not gonna run out anymore, and I can have my chocolate eclair." This is this guy. Okay, I don't even remember his name anymore, but he has impacted my life so much for this reason that I'm about to tell you. It's a little mathy. I've tried to explain it to a couple of friends before where they were like, "What?" So just, like, be ready to rewind if you need to. Okay, when we defer on our dream, when we kick the can down the road and say, "Maybe tomorrow, maybe next month, maybe next year," that little knock from the Holy Spirit, we push it off. Not only are we at risk of actually compromising and actually kind of, like, sacrificing our values. Oh, I don't know if I finished setting this for you. Okay, so cognitive dissonance, we change our value or we change our behavior. We have to be really careful because if we don't start changing our behavior, we'll compromise on our value, okay? Just like my story with the wubby and the staying cozy instead of exercising, okay? And there's a reason that I'm telling you that story because I'm not gonna stop talking about it until I change my actions because otherwise I'm gonna compromise on my beliefs, okay? But we start to compromise and defer and compromise and defer. And, um, and then it changes who we are. So we become weaker, less resilient, and that's what my coach told me. He said, "You have to do something that" sorry for my language, but this is the only that I can't say it any other way. "You have to do something that sucks every now and again." No, not every now and again, every day. You have to do something that sucks every day because if we don't, then we become weak and soft. And there is nothing worse in the kingdom of God than weak and soft believers. Because when the rubber meets the road, we will compromise. If we have not already faced down our fears and our would rather nots, and these are small things. Y'all, like I'm struggling going for a walk. We are not talking about these high level, like persecuted church situations. We've got to be willing to be uncomfortable every blessed day every day if we want to be strong to face down the stuff that really matters. Okay. So that's cognitive dissonance. Hey, mama, let me ask you a question. When's the last time you gave yourself some white space? I am not talking about a trip to the bathroom alone or even the grocery store. When's the last time you had what I like to call some no one needs me time? For homeschooling entrepreneurs, time like this isn't a luxury. It's actually a key component to a healthy business, homeschool, and family life. So, if you're ready for your next respite, whether it's you by yourself, you and your spouse, or a family trip, join us at our peaceful haven, just like paradise, located on gorgeous Oak Island, North Carolina. This 3-bedroom house is just a short walk to the ocean and nearby restaurants. It has a screened-in back porch with fireplace that is to die for, hot tub, and even a fire pit if you're feeling ambitious. Book through the link in the show notes, and then you have a unique discount code, podcast100, to get a $100 discount on your stay as a thank you for being one of my listeners. Get your next getaway on the calendar today. Now, take you back to my econ professor. When we defer on our dreams, we still have that. And then let's say we eventually get it together. Okay, 4 years later, now we're finally ready. We have not sped up the process. We still have to go through all the early stages of learning and growing and building that faithfulness. As a matter of fact, we've actually got more to do because now we've been, just languishing. So our muscles are totally atrophied. Our faithfulness muscles are weak. We've still got the whole process to go through, but now we have 4 less years of our lives. It's not a fun conversation, but it's just the reality. Our days are numbered. We do not know what that number is. But if we're going to really be mindful of the price that we pay for deferring, for not being bold, the price is all we would have accomplished at the end. Hmm. Think about that. What would you have accomplished those last 4 years? Let's say we got 50 years left and we spend 4 of them just about to do the thing. I really think this might be the year. Now, and I'm just gonna note, this is different from it's not the Lord's timing. That is a completely different conversation. If he has not directed you to do it now, this is not for you. There's something though that he's calling you to that you're probably kicking down the road if you are anything like me. Even if it's just taking a walk every day. There's something you're kicking down the road. There's someone you're supposed to call. There's an I'm sorry you're supposed to extend. There's a conversation you're supposed to have. There's a no that you are supposed to give. And by pushing that off, you've cut off all that you will be at the very end. The Lord grows things exponentially, all kinds of things. But we'll talk about it in the realm of finance because it's very easy to measure. I believe, but I don't remember where I did it. I believe I've talked in here about the doubling penny before, but if not, we're talking about it right now. So there is, oh, I totally did. Grain of rice, same story. Okay. I don't remember what episode, so we're just going back here for a minute. Okay, so there is a parable, I believe it's a Chinese parable, called A Single Grain of Rice. And this young man who's a peasant, I believe, does some heroic deed for the emperor. The emperor says, "I will give you anything you want up to half my kingdom," or something very lavish and grandiose. Okay. Um, and the peasant very wisely asks for this. He says, "I would like a single grain of rice, doubled every day for 30 days." The emperor foolishly doesn't do the math. He says, "This is such a small ask. Of course we'll do this." Day 1, single grain of rice comes on this beautiful brocade pillow, brought in by, servants and fanfare, presented to the peasant. 2 grains of rice, same thing. Then 4, then 8, then 16, 32, 64, 128, and so on and so on. By about the 22nd, 23rd day, the numbers become staggering. And if you wanna know what they are, just do the math, okay? The numbers become absolutely staggering. To the point that before the end of the month, the emperor realizes I'm going to be bankrupt. He will have everything. He ends up needing to hand over the kingdom and his daughter in marriage to this peasant because he doesn't have the wealth. Started with 1 grain of rice. In the doubling penny story, same concept, 1 penny, 2, 4, 8, so on. If you go all the way to day 30 without missing 1 day, it is something in the neighborhood, I can't remember exactly. It's around $5.7 million from 1 penny. $5.7 million. Now here's the catch, and this is what we do. If you miss every other day, you're like, "I'm 50%. You know what? Exercising 3 to 4 days a week, that's pretty solid. I wanna do every day, but at least I'm getting in half the days. That's pretty good. Getting in my quiet time about half the day, pretty good." In our math example, every day, 5.7 million. Think about day 31, 10, 10,000,000, 20, 40, 80, 160, 320. Within a week, 320,000,000. Okay? Let's say instead of hitting daily 5.7 million, we're 50%. What's the value then? $168. That's it. Not even enough to go out to dinner sometimes. Definitely not enough to go to the grocery store for the week. $168. This is the impact of kicking the can down the road. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. We wanna wait until we've got it all together. And this, I actually forgot why I was bringing it. I was like, "Why did I choose this for my one-year episode?" This is why. We wanna set the table beforehand. It is impossible to do that because we cannot know until we move our sweet feet. And this podcast is just one example of that. I knew, so there's a podcast episode, just one, sitting out there, and the title of that podcast is the God Who Sees You podcast, named in honor of Rahab, who was met by the Lord when she had been ostracized and kicked out by Abraham and Sarah. And here comes God ministering to her in her need. One episode I recorded. And I knew, I was like, this isn't quite right. But I didn't quite know what to do about it. The Lord gave a download, and it was this. So this, my website developer said, you can talk about because I was like, I want to talk about all these things and finance and stewardship and entrepreneurship and faithfulness and books and loving Jesus and all these things. And he said to me, you can talk about any what that you want if you are crystal clear about your who. Boom. That was it. There was the origin for She Considers a Field, which was the podcast that we had here for about the first 9 months. I knew when I said it that I didn't quite have my words around it right, but enough was enough, and it was time to move forward. So we went with this, what I called a caricature, homeschooling Christian homeschooling entrepreneur moms. It was a mouthful, but we made it happen. And it was funny because from day 1, I kept hearing myself saying it to people, and I was like, "Okay, this is interesting, but I don't know what to do about it." What I would say is, "Well, it's for homeschooling Christian homeschooling entrepreneur moms." But, if you don't homeschool, like, you might still really like it, and if you're not an entrepreneur, you might still really like it. If you're neither, you might still really like it. And really about half my audience was neither. But I had to start somewhere. And so I went with the caricature because I didn't have the words yet. How did I get the words? By pumping out 30 some odd episodes back to back to back to back, practicing, talking about what I cared about. Once I'd done all that, lo and behold, I found it, right? I found it. But I couldn't keep sitting there on the sidelines figuring it out. It was time to move my feet. How did I even come to have a podcast? By starting with guesting. I became a guest for about a year. All those episodes are still out there if you want to listen to them. They're linked on my Instagram under podcast guesting, I think. Honing and refining my story. Sharing the thing I felt the Lord had called me to share, responding to the questions, meeting the people. Through that experience, I met some of my favorite people in the world. I met some who ended up providing job opportunities, additional podcasting connections, supporting me in the things that I'm doing. Like all of these things came because I started moving my feet. It's time to say yes. And listen, like I hope you are hearing me in this. I have plenty of no's that I have said in error. There are things that the Lord's been kind of like tapping me on the shoulder to do. If you haven't noticed, exercise is one of them, right? That I'm just kind of like in a holding pattern on where I'm like, I know I need to move on this. Lord, help me do this. Help me do this. Help me be faithful here. It's actually probably a lot easier to just do the thing than it is for me to be spinning around in it like I am. And that's what we do. So I have one example where like I did it, and I got plenty where I didn't. And so on this 1 year anniversary of the thing that I did do, I'm going to invite you to do a thing. What's that thing that he keeps tapping you on the shoulder for? Imagine if we really got our arms around the fact that what we're foregoing is that 30th day of faithfulness. Like we literally, okay, so say that our lives are the equivalent of those 30 days. Every day we wait, we're not shaving off the single penny and the double penny and the 4 pennies and the 8 pennies and the 16 pennies. We are shaving off the $5.7 million. We miss one of those days. Now we're down to what, like 2.8, 2.9? Still nice. Shave off another 1.4, 700,000, 350, 175, about 80, 40, 20, 10,000, 5,000, 2,500, 1,250. So a week and a half off. Now we get down to 600. Kind of covers groceries for the month. Not really changing anyone's life. Do the thing, friend. Do it imperfectly. Everybody does. That's how we all start. That's how we all finish, by the way. If you didn't remember, we get to the end of our days still imperfect. So come and begin. Get in the water. Get in the arena. Do that thing he called you to do. Just start. You're probably not gonna make $1,000,000 on it right now. You might make your 2 pennies. But think about what it will be at the end on that 30th day. Remember, it's not just about dollars in the bank, it's about impact in the heavenlies. It's about the talents and what we do with what He gave us. So here's your invitation to come and be faithful in little. He will set you over more, and you will enter into the joy of your Master. Okay? All right, friend. Thanks for being with me on this first birthday of this little conversation. If you listened, would you tell me? I would love to hear from you. And in the meantime, as always, you've got this because He's got you. Friend, thank you so much for listening to this most recent episode of Overwhelmed to Overcomer. So listen, the whole idea behind this mission is that when we endeavor to be brave with our lives, we need to do it together. Belonging is key. So if you resonated with the message from this episode, share it with a friend. Do it together. Thank you again. And until next time, never forget, you've got this because He's got you.